How's it going, everybody? And welcome to week 7 of the NFL season, episode 7, also of the Professor DW podcast. Tony Davila here, Matthew King, Dominic Murphy in the back running the production for us. And what a week it was for the contest in general. Again, the new tiebreaker has really kind of come into effect in almost every game this year.
I think it's come into effect every week, whether it be for first like it was for this week or in that race for second as well.
Yeah, there were a few people up for grabs for the exclusive postseason tournament. Mike Lauder had the lead going into Monday night. He had to choose them right to get the overall just win-win outright win. That was where I was going with that one. Outright win, but had some competition. Easton Hargrave, Jeff Johnson, who had a big NCAA tournament run for us. So no stranger to Eli Sports and to the Professor DW contest. But in the end, it was Mike that came out with the win. So Mike Lauder is the winner. And of course, he beats the Professor again. But that was one that it came down to the very, very end there. Easton had 11 going into Monday. Jeff Johnson had 11 going into Monday. Easton actually chose one of the games right, giving him the tie. But again, field goal yardage and the Price is Right rules really came into effect this week.
Mike Lauder missed every game that wasn't played on Sunday. Luckily for him, he got every game on Sunday right. So Easton had the Bears pulling off that upset over the Commanders. That's what drew him even. Jeff Johnson missed both, so he kind of fell behind, was out of the race. But yeah, it was a heartbreaker for Easton Hargrave, that's for sure.
So total yardage in field goals was 2194. Mike kind of did the $1. He went low with 700. Easton 2200 yards was his guess. So 6 yards. 6 yards, and the hiker went over the edge. And the win goes to Mike.
Yeah, and a heartbreaker because I know I watched the Packers and Bengals. The Bengals, first of all, hit a 67-yarder where the kicker was iced, and then later in the game also hit one, but there was a timeout called, ended up missing them both. So if just one of those or one more field goal goes in, this is a whole different story, and it's Easton getting the win.
Yeah, it was a wild week for sure. So again, 2 new people into the exclusive club. Welcome Mike Lauder and Easton Hargrave. They both get into the contest. Professor did not do bad again. Professor had a pretty good week, getting 11 games, getting that one in there, missing 4 total. But still, cannot seem to beat anybody. So Lauder gets the extra $10 and ends up with $27 and the win. Again, the exclusive postseason tournament. You get 2 tickets. You're part of the Ticket Bonanza. You get tickets to the Seahawks, the Kraken, the Sounders, the Storm, the Rainiers,
the maybe American League champion Seattle Mariners.
That would be a big one. And then 2 tickets to Emerald Downs as well. So that is a big prize package that everybody wants to get into. So that is one that you got to enter to get a win. You can sign up at any point up until 4 p.m. on Thursday. That is the deadline to get signed up. And that's one where it's free for you. All you got to do is fill out some questions, click a couple buttons. You're right there, and you can get yourself $27 because apparently the Professor doesn't like to win. 40 weeks in a row that the Professor has come up short. Week one of the very first contest, and from then has not beaten anybody.
It's been brutal for week 1 back in 2023 is when the Professor won. I think the Professor won the All-Star Challenge the first year too. I think that's it. Yeah. That's it for the Professor. So really good the first time around. After that, not so much.
All right. So with all of this talk of the professor, let's go into who his picks are this week. And again, we'll start with Thursday's game. That is Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. And in this one, Professor takes Pittsburgh. It's kind of easy. Pittsburgh's on a roll. They're doing good. Cincinnati, what is Joe Flacco? He definitely looks better than Jake Browning, but has he worked himself into kind of any kind of chemistry with that receiving core for Cincinnati yet? It'll be interesting, but Pittsburgh doing pretty good at the beginning of the year.
I'll say from watching Joe Flacco in the Bengals, I think he already has that chemistry. Him and Jamar Chase seem to work together really well. The one thing I'll say about Thursday Night Football, we're on a string of upsets. We had the Niners, the beat-up Niners beating the Rams, and then last week the Giants beating the Eagles. So we'll see if that trend continues or if Pittsburgh can end it. A win for the Steelers, and it feels like they might just run away with the AFC North.
Yeah, AFC North is kind of struggling this year. So Professor takes Pittsburgh in that one. Off to London, the early Sunday games. Everybody waking up for those?
I have been.
I have not.
It wasn't worth it this last Sunday.
No. In London, it is the Rams at the Jags, and the Professor is taking the Rams. The Jags had that big win over KC, right? And then this last week, not so good against Seattle. Well, it looked okay against Seattle, but then Seahawks pulled away. Rams have looked good, but again, the Rams are one of those that if they get an injury to any of these key players up top, Nakua came back in that game, so he should be available again, maybe question mark there, but the Rams is who the Professor is taking.
I'll say the one thing that I agree with the Professor on this one. The Jags' biggest problem against Seattle is they couldn't keep Trevor Lawrence upright. They couldn't do that against Seahawks, who, again, good defense, but the Rams' pass rush is on another level. So I think it's going to be another long day for Trevor Lawrence, and I think there's enough of the offense for the Rams, whether it be Devontae Adams or Kyron Williams. I think there's enough there to take down the Jags.
I agree there. All right, so in the next game, these are the actual Sunday morning games, the ones that people are kind of paying attention to.
American Sunday morning.
Yeah. But maybe not this game people are paying so much attention to. New Orleans Saints at Chicago. Rough. Saints haven't been great, but they haven't been terrible. They've been kind of in every game, kind of. But Soldier Field is a different place to play. It's kind of rough. The field isn't ever great. The Professor's taking Chicago, and Chicago's looked all right. Their offense is kind of clicking, so I agree with the Professor on that one.
I think you need to look at some of these other Sunday morning games. This one is not, I wouldn't consider rough. I think the Saints like to play some close games. Chicago has been on a run. You know, someone in the ESN office predicted that every NFC North team would be above 500. So far, it's looking pretty good. It was me that said that. I think that trend continues. I think Chicago just has enough, although this does feel like a potential Bears letdown, but I think Chicago gets it done in a close one.
Yeah, it's always been close so far. The Saints have only had that one blowout to the Seahawks. Now is one that just crazy thing happened in that game. So, yeah, Chicago, I think, does pull that one out as well. Next game.
This is gross.
Again, rough. Miami at Cleveland. Yuck versus yuck. And the Professor's taking Cleveland. It's a pick 'em. I don't know. Personally, I think Miami could maybe, possibly, who knows. They had that flash game. They've had a couple of games where they kind of look okay. Tua kind of called everybody out, see if that gets them going. But Cleveland is young. Judkins has looked really good at running back, except for this last game. I can see why the Professor would take Cleveland.
I think you just spent way too much time talking about Miami and Cleveland. I'm just going to keep it straight. I disagree with the Professor. I disagree with you. I think this game ends in a tie. We'll just move forward.
Yeah. All right. Up next, New England at Tennessee. The Professor is taking New England in that one. And I agree. Tennessee just fired their coach. What do they have going on? I think this is going to be an easy win for the Pats.
Yeah, New England first place in the AFC East after the Bills were upset yet again. I think Drake May has looked really good. The only thing that concerns me about New England is way too many fumbles, but if Drake May's throwing the ball like he has been, they're going to play good defense with Mike Vrabel. Easy win for the Pats. Giants.
There we go. All right. Up next, the Chiefs and the Raiders at KC. Professor's taking the Chiefs. I agree. The Raiders, boy, Raiders are raidering it. There is no standout wide receiver. Brock Bowers has not played in 2 games as a fantasy tight end, has gotten me nothing. So yeah, I fully agree. The Chiefs should easily win that one.
In the words of Pat McAfee, the Chiefs is still the Chiefs. We saw that on Sunday Night Football. They took it to the Detroit Lions. I think the Raiders are going to have a turnover problem still, and there's starting to be a little bit of a quarterback controversy for the Raiders despite the win over Tennessee. So yeah, I think the Chiefs just continue to roll.
Yeah, Chiefs looking pretty great. All right, up next, the other team that played in the Super Bowl last year, Philly at Minnesota. The Professor's taking Philly. I think Philly, yeah, they got embarrassed by the Giants on Thursday. I think this is a big bounce back game for the Eagles. That's coming from a Cowboys fan. I think the Eagles are going to come out strong and really try to put a hurt on Minnesota.
We'll talk about your Cowboys here in a little bit. But yeah,
boy.
I think Minnesota's got a better shot if Carson Wentz is their quarterback. It sounds like J.J. McCarthy's going to be back. They need to run the ball. Philly can't stop the rushing attack right now. Expect a big game from Jordan Mason if the Vikings want to have a chance. I don't think it really matters, though. I think Philly, back-to-back losses, I think they're looking to right the ship in this one, and I agree the Eagles get back on track.
All right, so Professor's taking Philly. Up next, Panthers at the Jets. Panthers just embarrassed my Cowboys. Rico Dowdle. Why? Why'd you have to do that? That wasn't very nice at all. Professor is taking the Panthers. Jets are the only defeated team left in the NFL, and when you have your team stand there and look at a sideline for 30 seconds just to run a clock out, I don't know what you're doing. The Panthers are okay, I guess. I agree with the Professor there, but that's one that I don't know.
I'm going to side with the Professor in this one, mainly because it doesn't sound like Garrett Wilson's going to play. And I've picked the Jets, I think, the last 2 of the last 3 weeks, and they just continue to let me down. Never again. I think the Jets win this game, but I'm picking the Panthers. I think they get above 500.
That's one that it could be just the Panthers just got a big win over Dallas in a revenge game from Dowdle. That's one that could be a little bit of a letdown. They could be overlooking the Jets. So I could see the Jets sneaking one in, but the Jets have not looked good. All right, up next, the Giants at the Broncos. The Broncos defense is great. Just out of this world. The Professor is taking the Broncos. I fully agree there. Yes, Gadaboo and Dart give the Giants a boost, but can the Giants keep Dart upright throughout this entire game? And will he be able to control himself with the pressure that the Broncos are going to bring? I don't think so. I think the Broncos get a win here.
I agree. I think the Giants are good at home. That's where their big wins will come. But remember, after that big Jackson Dart debut where they took down the Chargers, they went on the road and they lost to New Orleans. The Saints only win so far this season. I think Denver's defense is the most reliable unit on the field. So I'm going to side with the Broncos, although I need to see more from Bo Nix to take them as a legit threat to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's run game. Bo Nix, second year, there's usually that little bit of a slump there with Broncos defense. It's so good. All right, up next, the Colts at the Chargers. The Professor is taking the home team, the Chargers, the Colts. Man, they had a couple of injuries in pregame and kind of deflated them in that game, but they also did not look great against Miami.
I think they had one injury and whatever happened to Anthony Richardson. That's not it. They got their quarterback, Daniel Jones. They don't need Anthony Richardson even on that roster. Professor taking an upset. I think the Colts win. Just Jonathan Taylor, really consistent. The Chargers were lucky to get that win over Miami last week. Got that big play from Ladd McConkey late to get into field goal range. Got a lot of question marks about the Chargers in the last few weeks. So I'm going to take the side that I think has looked most consistent, maybe in the NFL, the Indianapolis Colts.
All right, up next, Washington at Dallas. The Professor is taking Washington. I'm always going to choose Dallas, even though I don't like the secondary at all. I will say that on record. Hi, Tony Davila here. Do not like this secondary. The trade of Micah Parsons that was going to free up the defense to be great has not happened. They had one game where it looked really good. Sacks were flying everywhere, really good. But other than that, that secondary is brutal. And Jaden Daniels, I don't know if you've heard of him, he's pretty good. And yeah, it's going to be just one of those. Dallas is going to have to, Dak is going to have to throw at least 5 touchdowns in order for them to be even in the game, because that defense is not stopping anybody.
You just said all that and you picked the Cowboys.
Hey,
That's interesting. Commanders, they win this one. Dallas, yikes on that defense. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Washington. Washington is coming off of a loss, so I think they're going to be dialed back in. Expect a huge game from Jaden Daniels. Tony, I wouldn't watch this one if I was you.
I'm hoping it's not on local TV so I don't have to watch it, and I can watch it on Gamecast on my phone. That's how bad I don't want to watch it. Oh boy. All right. With that being said, so the professor's taking Washington. With that being said, Green Bay at Arizona. Professor's taking Green Bay. I'm taking Green Bay. I like Jacoby Brissett as the quarterback for Arizona. I think he's a little bit of a better fit of what they're trying to do. If they didn't have all of these injuries at running back, who's running the ball for Arizona is the big key, and everybody knows who's running the ball for Green Bay.
These two teams played last year and is very similar. Marvin Harrison Jr. was banged up. He might not even play this week. Green Bay has not allowed anyone to run on them at all. When the Cowboys played to that tie, it was all Dak. When they lost to the Browns, Judkins had an okay game, but really that Browns offense never did anything. They've shut down Jahmyr Gibbs. They just shut down Chase Brown. And yeah, now they're playing who at running back. I think Green Bay gets the win. I don't think Green Bay is going to blow anyone out, but please just run the ball with Josh Jacobs coming from a Packers fan. Give the ball to Josh Jacobs and let him do the work, and that'll open things up for Jordan Love. This shouldn't be a competitive game, but I know I'll be sweating it in the fourth quarter, but I think the Packers get it done.
All right, so we're all in agreement that it is going to be Green Bay. Up next is the Falcons at the 49ers. Professor's taking the 49ers. Again, this is kind of a toss-up game. The Niners are just injury depleted. Fred Warner going down is massive for them. What does their defense look like? Who are they going to regroup? But then the Falcons haven't been the most consistent. Is it going to be a heavy run game or is it going to be a heavy pass game? You never know week to week what the Falcons are going to be. I like the Falcons in this one because I do think that loss of Fred Warner is going to be big for the Niners. Me personally, I'm taking the Falcons. The professor's taking the Niners.
You're seeing two of the best running backs in football in this game. Christian McCaffrey against Bijan Robinson. It's going to be explosive. Both of them are going to have big games. Rumor has it George Kittle's coming back this week. I think if Kittle's back, I'll take the Niners. If he's not, I'll go with Atlanta. The Falcons' defense looked really good against Buffalo on Monday night, so we'll see. I think everything kind of hinges, does George Kittle play, which unfortunately for Professor DW's contest, we don't get the luxury of waiting to find out. You got to make your picks by Thursday, so it's up in the air. Good luck picking this one.
Yeah, those game time decisions kind of make it rough to make some of these picks, but you got to get them. All right, 2 Monday night games. Those are all of the Sunday games. 2 Monday games. One's kind of afternoon. The first game is Tampa Bay at Detroit, and the professor is taking Detroit. I like Detroit in that one as well. Tampa Bay, the Cardiac Kids, they have gotten it done, but that receiving core, Emeka Egbuka, we talk about him every week. He goes down late in that game. Who is there for Tampa Bay to catch the ball? Kate Otton's there. They've got the Johnson & Johnson connection as well. Mike Evans
coming back this week.
But is he going to be a full go? I like Detroit in this one. I think their defense is playing pretty well, and that offense is that offense. I think Detroit wins this one. It'll be close because Tampa only plays close games. So I think Detroit will get the win at home.
I agree. I'm going to take Detroit. I think it's just like you said. It's going to be a close ball game. The Lions got embarrassed on Sunday Night Football. That game wasn't close, even if the score looked closer than it was. They got stomped the entire way. I think the Lions wake back up, get that prime time win. They need a win against a good team. Their 2 losses against the Packers and the Chiefs. They need to beat a good team. I think they get that win, although there will be some question marks about it. Right now, I think Tampa Bay has looked like the best team in the NFC. However, they're too banged up.
Yeah, that's just injuries have caught up to them. It's what happened to Detroit last year with that defense. Just at one point, it's going to be too much, and you can't overcome a lot of these injuries that keep on happening. All right, so we're all going to take Detroit. Professor's taking Detroit. The last game of the week is going to be the later Sunday game, the actual night game on Sunday, and that is Houston at Seattle. The Professor is getting the upset of Houston over Seattle. Houston's okay, I guess, at times. Kind of one of those that it's kind of how the season's been. Kind of inconsistent. When are they going to get their running back back? Who knows?
I don't know.
Will Mixon play for
Please.
Houston again? Who knows? Seattle has looked really good on defense, but a lot of that secondary is hurt for Seattle. And that's what Houston thrives on, is passing the ball. So is that secondary going to be there for the Seahawks?
Would it shock you if I say this game hinges on another sport? Monday could be a pivotal game in the ALCS. It would line up to not just be a pivotal game. It would be game 7. It would be in Toronto, but home field advantage is really gone for the 12th man isn't really there. They're more than happy to sell their tickets to whoever. So I think a lot of fans could be staying home. However, I don't think the ALCS goes to game 7. I think this is a really low scoring game. Take the under for sure. Two really good defenses. I think Seattle ends up getting it done at home. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Another person in the office said he could be offensive player of the year. That one wasn't me. So I'm going to give the shout out to Dominic, our producer, who did predict that. He's having an insane year. Sam Darnold looks good. I just think Seattle gets the job done. I trust their offense more than I trust Houston's right now.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think Seattle gets the win. Professor's taking Houston. Professor might know something that we don't know, but both of us like Seattle a little bit more in that one. So, all right. There are this week's picks from the Professor. There are our comments, commentary on what is going on as well. Keep on checking out what we've got going on. The link is up already. You can go and fill out your form. Get it in by Thursday at 4 to get every team in. Make sure you do that to get in and see if you are the winner and get streak to 41. Professor trying to get the win, but hey, who knows when that will happen. All right. Hope you join us next week for more of the Professor DW podcast.